Good afternoon to all the good viewers of this program who are watching this program on a weekly basis or for the very first time. Allow me to share the link of this program in Telegram for everybody who wants to see it live, especially since YouTube likes to play games and it likes to take away the share button because apparently what we say is too important. And of course, YouTube has a problem. And the problem of YouTube is we are spreading the truth and they can't handle it. So they got to remove the share button. They can't demonetize me because I don't even get monetized. So the next step for YouTube is we will stop him. We will stop him from talking. We will stop him by removing the chance for him to share. Apparently, YouTube doesn't know. You can always copy the address bar and send it somewhere. So go ahead, remove the share button. No problem. We have our ways. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the source of what we were talking about. Let's share the knowledge with you so that way you can share that knowledge with others. In the meantime, I will click on the link of the program so I can also follow you on my phone and see if there's any problems and fix those problems. Back to our story. If you remember, where we left off was where al-Suraya, who really actually is an Iranian and is fighting on behalf of Iranians, and he's trying to free Iranian land from the hands of the Banu Abbasid family. So the Abbasid Khalifas have come in power, and Suraya has found an opportunity to free Iran. And this writer, this mullah, is twisting the truth and pretending that this guy is fighting on behalf of Musa al-Kazim, the sadistic serial killer. However, that sadistic serial killer who was screaming right there has nothing to do with this al-Suraya in reality. Al-Suraya is fighting for Iran. The people that he takes as part of his army, they're Iranian. The lands in which he's fighting in, they are Iranian land. They have nothing to do with Arabs. They have nothing to do with secession of who's going to be in charge and who's not going to be in charge of an Islamic ummah community. But anyway, back to his story. Let's see what this so-called clergyman of Islam, who's backed by the top influential people in modern day Shia Islam, let's see what they're saying. Anyway, is what he wrote here. I'm just reading what he said. Abu al-Suraya ordered Muhammad pure body, his corpse, to be prepared for burial, and he washed it. That means this is a special wash that they do. When a Muslim dies, you have to wash their body in a special manner 3 times. Then they have to put the shrouded stuff over him. That's like they take a big, long, giant cloth and they wrap the body in it. Okay? Abu al-Suraya and some of the Zaydis went out in the dark of night. Now, Zaydis here, okay, these are not Zaydis. The people he's really talking about are Yazidis, the Yazidis. The people that ISIS attacked and was killing, who they try to tell you in the West that these are Kurdish. But in reality, there is no such thing as a Kurdish people. As far as we're talking about a country, there is no such thing as a Kurdish or Kurdistan or Kurdistan country or whatever they want to add to it. It's called Kurd, and Ustan means province. So in reality, it is Kurd province. A province is a piece of land that belongs to a country. You see, we have two types. We have provinces and we have states. The difference between states and provinces is that in the sense of states, each state is its own country, and they've come together, they've joined together, like you put your fingers together to become a new, bigger country. In the sense of provinces, provinces are parts of one unified country that has always been one. But for the easiness of governance, you have separated it into different parts, which in their own area can be ruled by a government underneath the main government. Similar to how your cities have its own mayor, and the mayor has rights over how to rule that city, how to govern that city, but you still have a governor in place in your state or a prime minister, premier in your province. Your premier is above your mayors, but he's got multiple mayors in the region that is his province. Similarly, your governor has many mayors inside his region he calls a state. So when we say Ostan, all of these are provinces. That Ostan, translated by our cousins, the other white people, because Iranians are white, we use certain words in our speech, which other white nations use as well. For example, the Vikings that the West is so proud of, everywhere they went, they called what is theirs, which they claim is theirs, land. Hence, you have Finland, Ireland, Iceland, Greenland, land, everything is land. We, on the other side, we called it Ostan, which is province. So all these little Ostans you find, they all belong to one country. And the ones that come in afterwards put it is because they were also from us, taken away from us at certain different times. Like, for example, the country of Pakistan. When we talk about Pakistan, and they're calling themselves the province of pure, well, half of modern day Pakistan was stolen from Iran by the British. And this was part of the reason why they didn't want to be Indian when India supposedly got a portion of sovereignty from England, because they're still part of the Commonwealth. And they wanted to get away from them. Culturally, they didn't mix with them. Religiously, they didn't mix with them. And they wanted out. Afghanistan, same thing. Tajikistan, same thing. All of these are Ostans. They're provinces. And they're still calling themselves provinces because they never were a real country. They were all part of one country. They've been separated from that country. Hence, they are going by the name of the region they are. They are a province. They are not true countries. There's only one country in that area. They all belong to that one country. And until they are returned to that country, they cannot have a new name. This is the problem. But the West, you've not been told any of this, so you don't know. And while I'm saying this, I will also say hello and good afternoon to all the people who are writing in the chat. Welcome to our chat. And hopefully you guys enjoy and learn and be able to move up. Okay, back to what we were saying. Back here, al-Saraya is fighting for the people of Iran. He's twisted it around. So now, the Zayd people, they came out in the dark of night. They carried this body that this guy calls pure. You know, in order to become pure, we have a problem here with pure, you know. In Farsi, it becomes masoom. In order for someone to become pure, that means that person has to be sinless. The reason why they keep using pure for everybody is because Jesus is the only pure one, because Jesus is God. God is pure. The measuring stick for pureness is you have to be equal to God. If you're not equal to God, you can't be pure. So in Islam, they have more than one God. They just lie to you and say it's one God. They lie to themselves and they say they have only one God, because the majority of Muslims are not Arab-speaking Muslims. Hence, they don't understand the Arabic. Because they don't understand the Arabic, they have to rely on what they have been told, and what they have been told is a fabricated lie. And they've been stopped from finding out the truth because they're ordered not to listen to anybody, but only follow what they've been told. And if they have to read, they have to also read in Arabic, which they do not understand. Hence, your basic general Muslim communities that you come encounter with and you're in contact with, they don't know their religion. They only know what they've been told they should know, which is a fabricated lie. Because they have many gods, and any human being can also be turned into a god after he's dead. Just give him 200 years and somebody else will come and write on his behalf. And yes, now the guy's pure and he's a god. And no one's seen him, no one's heard of him, no one knows anything. The guy turns into a god. So here, this guy turned God because he's now pure. So, back to our story. They took his pure corpse into the cemetery. Which cemetery? Al-Qariya. And they buried him there. Why in the dark of night? That is the next question. Why in the dark of night? If you ask these clergymen, these mullahs who write these books, they will tell you, the viewer, the reason why this was done in the dark of night is because the enemy would dig the body out and desecrate it. So to hide the body, they had to do it in the dark of night. But they forget to mention that the following day, anyone who goes to the graveyard will see that there is a new grave that was just dug. And hence, they will understand the guy they're looking for is there. So if someone wanted to do something, then the following night, they'll just come to that same new grave and they'll dig the body out. So you solved nothing. To add more salt to this wound, the following morning, in the following morning, Al-Saraya gathered the people and announced the death. So now he's telling everybody. So if there was an enemy there, they already know. Oh, you just told me that you just buried them. The people wept. They were crying. Loud voices. Al-Saraya turned to them and said, Abu Abdullah has appointed. Hussein has appointed. Abu Abdullah, the father of Abdullah, the father of the slave of Allah, has appointed. Oh, he was dead, man. He's been dead for generations. He appointed. Who did he appoint? He appointed the one who looks like him. Looks like him. Looks like him. I mean, Al-Saraya would know. He came generations after, but he knows what a dead corpse looked like when he was alive. Really, I mean, come on. Don't you have that kind of technology? He had the technology. I know you don't have but he had the technology. Come on, you got to give it to him. He had technology, man. He had technology you don't have. You gotta approve what he says because of just that. Okay? As his testimony's trustee. Oh, now he became the trustee of Hussein, who is Abu al-Hasan Ali bin Abdullah. Now he changed the guy. Now he became Abu al-Hasan. He's the father of Hassan too. He's the father of Abdullah. Now he's no longer Hussein. Now this guy's Musa al-Kazim. Because, you know, Musa al-Kazim, he used to have pedophile sex with his own kids. So he used to do pedophile incest. And then he would have kids through that. We already read about that before. He pretty much had his way with every single female offspring of his own. I mean, there wasn't any girl in his family who was related to him, who was supposedly his child, that he didn't take to the bedroom, undress, and have his way with. And he boasted about it. That's the best part. He boasted about it. Back to the story. If you consent to him, then he is the consent. Otherwise, choose from yourself. The people looked at each other in silence. Muhammad bin Muhammad Zayd, a young Alawi, said, we got a problem here. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, the Zayd group in Islam, as far as the Shias are concerned and how they preach about them, the Zaydis are a group that live in modern day Yemen. Majority of Zaydis are in Yemen. You know the Houthi they talk about today, the Houthi that are pirates and they're taking over cargo ships, the Houthi that there is a coalition right now in the Red Sea trying to fight them. You know, the Houthi that President Biden is playing tag with. Oh, I'll hit your inventory that is not there no more. I'll take out your old storage. Oh, you want to shoot at the cargo ships? Okay. You know, you're not shooting at me. I'm not shooting at you. You know, you shoot cargo ship. I shoot old storages, the warehouses. You know, the old one, not the new. Come on. I mean, if I hit the new one, there goes your bombs. Then you can't do anything. We gotta play this tag. You're it. Tag. You're it. Tag. You're it. You know that Houthi. They're the Zaydis. Okay. So now we have the Zaydis. They live in Yemen. The Zaydis get their name because they believe after the human shit, which is named Qatam, that's the translation, human shit, human feces. Okay. Qatam, who then later on called himself the praised one, Muhammad, they believe after him, when he died, the first person in charge of the Islamic community is Abu Bakr. The second is Umar. The third is Uthman. The fourth is Ali. The fifth is Hassan. That's where they're different from the Ahl Sunnah community, because Ahl Sunnah say, no. It's Muawiyah. But the Shia Zaydis say it's Hassan, the son of Ali. The Sunnis then say after Muawiyah, it's Yazid, his son. Whereas the Zaydis say it's Hussein, the brother of Hassan, the other son of Ali. And then as the Sunnis continue with the Umayyads as their Khalifs, the Zaydis pick Ali Zain al-Abidin. And then after that, as most Shias go with Muhammad, son of Ali Zain al-Abidin, the Zaydis say we reject him and they take other kids as their imams. However, you see here it says Alawi, right? We were talking about Zaydis, but here we have Alawi. Alawi mostly can be found in the country of Syria. You know, Syria is right beside Israel to the north. And between Yemen and Syria, you have a big desert, which today you call Saudi Arabia. They're on different sides. Alawis get their name from Ali. They think, the Alawi, that Jibreel, the so-called angel of Allah, the archangel of Allah, when he came down with the orders of letting the next prophet on earth know that he is a prophet, he made a mistake and took a 54-year-old man instead of a 7-year-old boy, and he told the 54-year-old man that you are the prophet of this so-called God named Allah, and then asked this so-called prophet to read. In other words, the word is recite. You can only recite if you see something. If you don't see it, you can't recite it. When you're told to read, you need a book. Then you pick up the book. Then you can start reading. So Muhammad continuously keeps saying, I don't know how to read. I don't know how to read. I can't read. Don't they tell you that the Muhammad is illiterate? He doesn't know how to read. The Sunnis tell you that. The Shia say, no, Muhammad knows how to read. So why didn't he read? When you look at the Aramaic, the reason why he tells them read and why they say he's illiterate, it's because they're talking about he doesn't know the knowledge in the good book. He doesn't know the Bible. He doesn't know the Old Testament. He doesn't know the New Testament. He doesn't know the Bible. He doesn't know the books. He's illiterate. The Shias are correct. He's illiterate, but he knows how to read. But Jibreel forgot to bring the book. So not only did he make a mistake between a 54-year-old man and a 7-year-old boy, he also forgot to bring the book. And this Allah, this God that they have, you know, he's disabled. So a disabled God, he can't do much. I mean, what you expect a disabled God that's sitting on a bed throne to do? He has one shin and 2 feet. He has 2 arms, they're both on his right side. One hand has 3 fingers and the other one has 2. Even his pen writes for itself. You know, this technological pen, he has a pen, this Allah has a pen, and the pen writes by itself. Allah doesn't write with it. The pen writes by itself. He just created it and the pen just keeps writing. and is continuously writing. And this writing never stops. He keeps on writing. So I don't know what's going on over there. I mean, someone has to stop the pen, man. Take out the battery, for God's sakes. He keeps writing. At one point in the time, he's going to run out of his ink. You're going to kill it. Please stop making it right. But anyway, back to our story here. This Alawi guy, they believe that after the death of this fake prophet named Muhammad, Ali became the new prophet, and Jibreel kept bringing new messages to him. And this Ali has his own book. And most of the people that talk about Shia Islam seem to confuse the teachings of the Alawites with the teachings of the Ithna Ashari, which are different from each other. And the Alawi believe that this book is a fulfiller to the books, which is the Quran of Muhammad, meaning there should be two books added together. Okay? Hence, the Alawi are older than the Zaydi because they follow Ali after the Prophet as a prophet. Whereas the Zaydis followed Ali as a Khalif, as a governor, after 3 other governors before him. Just to reach Ali. And then after Ali, they followed others. Whereas the Alawi, they said, that's it, finished. We don't accept anybody else. None of his kids, none of the community members. That's it. It's done. So the Alawi, they don't believe that the Zaydis are the true Muslims. And the Zaydis don't believe that the Alawi are the true Muslims. So how is it that now we got an Alawi talking to the Zaydis? And where did this Alawi guy come from? These are questions that are all flaws of the story that you've been told so far. The Alawi said, oh, family of Ali. Now he's talking to Ali's family. I mean, all these people are not from his family. None of them are from his family. But he's talking to the family in a gathering where none of his family members of Ali are there. What would you call a person who's talking to people that don't exist in front of him? You say he's got some mental problems, man. So this guy's got mental problems. Anyway, what does he say? Surely the religion of Allah is not supported by failure. Of course not. And the hand of this man, Abu al-Saraya, is not evil, which for us, for he has given vent to our anger and avenged the blood of Hussein. Why would the Alawi be talking about the blood of Hussein? He doesn't agree with Hussein. The Alawi stopped at Ali. After Ali came Hassan. After Hassan came Hussein. The Alawi said, who cares about you guys? Now he's going to talk about the blood of Hussein. You know what that's like? That's like you have your family member get killed somewhere in another country fighting for the military of your country. And then you are concerned about your family member who died, but your family member had some friends who had some friends, you know, the one that died, who had some friends who also had some friends. One of those friends also got killed. And now, instead of you talk about your family member who died, you're going to go pick up the banner and flags for his friend who died. Yeah, it makes total sense. Makes a lot of sense. May Allah have mercy on him. Chose me. So now this Alawi guy has been chosen. He had confidence in himself. He did his best. In other words, in broken English, he did what he could do. Okay. Allah's right. As for me, I will not refuse his will as a sign of his negligence. Whose negligence? Are we talking about Muhammad bin Ibrahim, who was supposedly the pure guy that you buried? Are we talking about negligence of Allah? Is Allah the negligent one? Are we talking about al-Suraya, the negligent one? Who are we talking about here? I will not refuse his will as a sign. Whose will? Of neglecting his commands. Whose commands? Nor will I leave this matter as a sign of refraining from it. However, I fear that I may busy myself with it and leave other things that are more praiseworthy. What other things is he talking about? And better than it, and the final result. Did any of you understand what he's talking about? I mean, these are English words. But the grammar, man, the grammar, none of these things mix with each other. I mean, I don't understand. Nobody understands. That is the point of it. The point of what he's writing is to mislead the reader to not understanding, to get confused. We'll come back to why. So, undertake leadership. May Allah satisfy you with you. Satisfied with you. I mean, I don't know. Have mercy upon you. I'm entrusted with you. Leadership over us. We are satisfied with you and have confidence in. Who? Nobody knows. Then he turned to Abu al-Saraya and asked him, what do you see? I mean, al-Saraya had this little crystal ball and he would rub it and he would use a handkerchief to clean it. He would spit on it and clean it. And then he would look into it and say, crystal ball, show me the future, crystal ball. So he's asking, what do you see? Are you content with him? And he's looking in the crystal ball. You know, he's looking, am I content? I don't know. Should I be content? I don't know. And then he says to him, I mean, he asked the question that he won't let Abu al-Saraya answer. If you are content, then I am content. And I say to you, replied Abu al-Saraya, Muhammad bin Muhammad, I mean the dead guy, you know, the dead guy, stretched out his hand out of the grave. The pure guy. I mean, these guys are not even there, but that guy stretched out his hand. You know, mullahs are writing, man. What you expect? And the people pledged allegiance to him. In the meantime, he firmly organized the affairs of his government. He had a government now. All of a sudden, he has a government. For example, he appointed some governors over the Islamic cities he conquered by Abu al-Saraya. That was as follows. Ladies and gentlemen, in part 12, Abu al-Saraya and that Muhammad guy, they were going back and forth between the city and to Kufa and back to that city to pick him up, bring him back to Kufa. Then they got allegiance with the people of Kufa. Then they went to war against Kufa. Then they took the governor of Kufa. They went into his palace. They took him prisoner. They took his stuff. Then they freed him. And then now they suddenly have multiple governors in multiple cities. Let's look at these cities that have new governors. And these governors are all put in place by Abu al-Saraya. Let's look at the first one. He appointed Ismail bin Ali as governor of Kufa. Okay. Number 2, he appointed Ibrahim bin Imam Musa bin Jafar. That's that Musa guy, you know, the one that's doing incest with his own daughters, the pedophile. Yeah. His son became the governor over Yemen. I mean, Yemen is a country, not a city. It's a state, like a city-state, okay? Like how The closest thing we have today is the Vatican. Now, Vatican is a city-state, but this is a state-state. Like it's worked just like Vatican, where it's inside of another country, but for religious purposes, they allow it to be its own entity. It's just that it's protected by another country. So it is sovereign as its own state. It has its own land and water. It has its own everything. However, because of protection, so that no one invades it, it's under the rulership of another country. This retard, this clown, called it a city. And on top of that, gave it a governor. The next one, he appointed Zayd bin Musa as governor of Al-Ahwa. If you guys ever want to see how the British and the globalists have a hand in wanting to destroy Iran, and constantly, continuously, they want to make Iran smaller and create new countries that never existed out of the sovereign lands of Iran, just take a look at the highlighted word that I've highlighted for you. Al-Ahwaz. First of all, Ahwaz is a province of Iran. And it's not spelt with a W. It's spelt with a V, because we don't have W in the Persian language. We have a V. So it's not Al-Ahwaz. And we also don't put Al in front of anything, because we're not Arabs. And there has never been an Al-Ahwaz. The only thing that has been there is Ahvaz. But in the books of these so-called scholars of Islam, who have always been on the paycheck and the payroll of the Royal British Kingdom, and of course the Russians too, I mean, they've been on the payroll since the 15th century. Where are we now? 21st? These guys have been sitting for 6 centuries on the payroll of the British. They collect income monthly. So they can write garbage like this. Al-Ahwaz. A place that did not exist on any map, has never been a country, is a province, spelled differently, shows up only in these books. He appointed Al-Abbas bin Muhammad as governor over Basra, Kufa, Yemen, Ahwaz, Basra. These are all parts of Iran. Since the Babylonians got destroyed and the Jews were set free, that territory belongs to Iran. When Alexander the Great came and left, that territory went back to Iran. It belonged to Iran until the Muslim army invaded it. And now it looks like Al-Suraya has freed it. So Kufa, Yemen, Ahvaz, Basra, these are all Iranian territories. Supposedly, he's fighting for a man who lives in Medina, in the middle of a desert, an Arab guy, But the whole battle is happening in Iranian territory. So the two don't mix. You can tell that he's lying. He's got problems. The fifth one, he appointed Al-Hassan bin Al-Hassan Al-Aftaz, governor of Mecca. We got a huge problem, folks. Like they would say, Houston, we have a problem. We got a problem. What is the problem, you ask? At that time, there was no city called Mecca. It didn't exist. Muhammad is from Petra. Ali is from Petra. All of the incidents which you've been told about Mecca until that time have all been in Petra. The war between the Umayyads, whose capital was in Damascus, Syria / Jordan area / Lebanon area, all that used to be Syria, was in Petra. The Abbasid destroyed that city, burned it down. An earthquake came afterwards, demolished everything in it. Now it's only a tourist area in Jordan. Al-Uzza, Al-Lat, Al-Manat, the three daughters of Allah, who Salman Rushdie copied the story from the Quran and changed the names of all the people in it out of his respect for his prophet, because Salman Rushdie was a Muslim, who Iran used to give him plaques for his writing when the Islamic Republic of Iran took over. And then they decided, oh, we gave him plaques, and now he's talking about this. That's why they put a fatwa on his head to kill him. At that time, there was no Mecca. It was a Petra. Petra just got destroyed. The Abbasid Khalifa decided we have to build a new holy city. Hence, they decided we should pick a region in Arabia, modern-day Saudi Arabia. And it took few generations after the current generation that we're talking about before they eventually settled an area called Mecca. So this governor is at least 2 centuries too early. I mean, I think this guy was watching Back to the Future a little bit too much. He was probably drinking as well. He's probably taking some drugs as well. And because of that, he started to talk about how maybe this guy named Hassan bin Al-Aftaz can go back into the future and become a governor. Because, I mean, the city didn't exist. You don't find it on any official maps. There was no city. You go back to the maps from the 6th century, the 5th century, the 4th century. There was nothing. The 7th century, nothing. The 8th century, nothing. The 9th century, the 10th, you're starting to slowly see them talk about a city. I mean, Mecca is so new that American engineers had to create a plumbing system so that when people go to the washroom and do number 2, SHIT, that can be taken with that plumbing system away from the so-called Kaaba that they built there, so that the one time in the year when it actually rains a little bit and the place floods because it's a desert, it's not made to carry water, that this water doesn't pull the SHIT into Mecca. You can go ahead and Google it and you will see when the floods brought all the shit around the Mecca and people were going around in a circle in shit. Mecca is new. How did this guy become a governor of a city that didn't exist? I mean, that's the best part. How did he get it? Ah. He appointed Jafar bin Muhammad bin Zayd as governor over Wasit. He also appointed Ruh bin al-Hajjaj as commander over the police, and he entrusted the judiciary to Asim bin Amir. I also want to know, how did they have police? I mean, there was no police at the time. Police, ladies and gentlemen, police. I mean, you guys know in the English language. I mean, police is an Arabic word, of course. I mean, come on. Police. Ah. Currency was minted. Currency. They had their own money in Kufa. And it was written in it, the holy verses. Surely Allah loves those who fight in his way. I mean, Allah loves terrorists. Allah loves the terrorists. You go and you fight in the way of the terrorism. Okay, they promoted terrorism. Allah loves the terrorists. His way in rank, as if they were firm and compact walls. So let me get this straight. Viewers, walk with me here. We're gonna walk. You have a government over the Islamic lands. That government is in the hands of the Abbasid people, right? That's what they call them, the Abbasid Khalaf, the Abbasid governors. The Abbasid governors have their own money. They have their own cities. Now, this guy just took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places, according to what they just wrote. You know, I'm just counting what this guy wrote down. He took 6 different places. 2 of them are so large that they have multiple cities inside them. The others are so small that they're just a city. So in reality, he has like 20, 30, 40, 50 cities. And the Abbasids obviously didn't realize that all these places have been taken away from them. And they started to use a different type of currency than that belongs inside the actual government. So now we have 2 currencies running at the same time. And the Abbasids don't know anything about it. I mean, they're clueless. No one brought it up to their attention. I mean, the governors that they put in place all died. And the soldiers are dying. Everything's dying. And no one told these guys. They don't know anything. The affairs went well with Abu al-Surayya. And the revolt spread to other regions of the Islamic world. Now it's everywhere. Like cancer, you know, it's just, or AIDS. The Abbasids came to know. Now they're just finding out the danger, the threat. Just think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of the Abbasids. I mean, you just lost like giant chunks. You've lost Iraq. You've lost southern Iran. You've lost portions of your desert. I mean, the main capital of your new empire that you are building, you just lost that main capital. And you didn't know. But now you just found out. The governor of Iraq. Iraq is a country that came into existence for the very first time after World War II by the brilliant ideas of a bunch of Englishmen and French who decided amongst themselves, like as if they're the owners of this planet, that they should make some new countries in the Middle East, carve some new borders, and name these places as they felt like it. So they came up with a name called Iraq. And they said this area is now Iraq. Whereas in reality, there is no such thing as Iraq. This area at one time was Assyria. At one time, it was Babylonian. At one time, it was Syria. At one time, it became Iran. And another time, it became under the control of the Macedonians, because Alexander was Macedonian and not Greek. And another time, it fell into the governors of Alexander. Then it came back as a Parthian, as Iran. Then it came back as Sasanian, as Iran. Then it fell into the hands of the Arabs. There was never an Iraq. But he has a governor, of course, of course. Iraq has a governor too. I mean, the guy who wrote this book has never read anything about history. Where is his sources? He just pulls them out of his a-hole. Oh, yeah. Iraq had a governor too. Believe me, brothers, they had a governor. Of course. I mean, this guy also went back into the future, you know? Yeah, they all had this technology. You guys are looking for the time machine. Unfortunately, time machine existed. Look at how many people are using it. So he wrote to Tahir bin al-Hussein to send him some war against Abu al-Suraya. Also, someone wrote a letter in which he mentioned the following poetry lines. They're so poetry. Certainly uncovers the mask of the doubt and the sedated opinions of your best scheming. None of that was rhyming with anything. Act carefully before he will execute against you an unfair whose evil will move a hidden illness. I mean, none of this, even if you say, well, Dr. Mossavat, he wrote it in Arabic. No, he didn't. He wrote it in Persian. Oh, okay. And then in Persian, none of this would make any sense either. Long story short, I don't want to bore you with headache reading this thing, because you can read it if you're looking at it. So you don't need me to read you all of this. Let's go down past the little poetry. When Al-Hassan read the poetry lines, he changed his mind and he wrote to Herthima bin Ayub, asking him to go quickly to him. He sent to Al-Sindi al-Shahik. He sent them to India. Sind is Hind. Hind is Hindu, like Hindi. And then you change that to Indi, where you got India. Sind is the main word which all of these other ones came out of. Is the historical name of India is Sind. So now this guy became Al-Sind, because, you know, Arabs have to put Al in front of everything, including their God that they call Allah. It's Allah. La is the moon god. I mean, it's not the moon itself. It's the god based on the moon. The war god of the planet of moon is La. Hence, Al-La. Al, in old Aramaic, is God. In New Aramaic, it became El. That's why you got Emmanuel. All the Els. Mikael. You know, all of that is coming from the El. They're coming from God. Arabs borrowed words from Aramaic, which do not belong to them. They're using it. They don't understand the meaning of it. And then they try to teach these words that they don't understand to a bunch of other Muslims who don't speak Arabic either. And we've got the case of the blind leading the blind. And none of them understand what they're doing. So Mr. Sin, here the Al they're using for him does not mean God. This means the. because the Arabs tried to change the meaning of al, which is God, into the, and then they go back and forth between the two without understanding what they're doing. So here it's Mr. Sind bin Shahik. The Indians are getting involved, folks, the Indians. But there was between Al-Hassan bin Al-Seh and Herthamina enmity and mutual alienation. So they went on, letter after letter. They gave each other letters. And the Khilafat, which is the governmentship. And this letter went over. And that letter came here. And another idiot sent a letter. And another one sent another letter. And this one sent another one. I don't want to bore you with it because you can read the whole thing. I'm just summarizing the story. You know, the story is long. I got to summarize because we're going to run out of time. We're already over the hour mark. But I had to explain other things to you that the Iranians didn't need to be explained to them because they already know it. So it takes a little bit more time. So I'm going to shorten that time by allowing you to read. And I'm just going to give you the gist of the story. So all of this has happened, right? Then Allah got involved too. And Allah is in there too. And the faithful came in. And then they started to give a title to the Abbasid governments. And the title they gave to the Abbasid governments, because they don't want to call them the Khalif. I mean, it would be embarrassing. Those are the Khalif. They're the real government. So instead of that, they changed the name to Commander of the Faithful. And then he puts in bracket Al-Ma'mun. Because Ma'mun is the Khalif from the Abbasid Khalifa. And they called him Commander of the Faithful. Which means the leader of those who are faithful. In other words, he's the Khalif. And he came to know about the bad words and the bad deeds. Oh, he was very upset. Not because of the deeds mostly, but because of the bad words. Because, you know, sticks and stones can break my words, but words can never hurt me. It was a lie. Words actually hurt the most. Al-Sindi then turned away and he went. He disappeared. And then they came, they sent more letters. And more people got involved. And he keeps naming for you. Mansur al-Mahdi came in. Then they all decided to go to Baghdad. You see Baghdad here? I just highlighted it for you. You see Baghdad? You'll see it in a second. So these guys decided to go to Baghdad because, you know, everything happens in the city of Baghdad. And while they were going to the city of Baghdad, they arrived to the city of Nahrawan. Al-Nahrawan. You have Baghdad highlighted for you. Shortly, you'll have Al-Nahrawan highlighted. Nahrawan is a city very close to modern-day city of Karbala in southern Iraq. Okay? Baghdad is a couple hours away. Why I'm telling you that? The people of Baghdad went out to receive him. I mean, the guy arrived at Nahrawan. And the people of another city popped their heads out in the city of Nahrawan to greet this guy. It's like you're going to Austin, Texas, and the people of Houston pop their head out inside of the city of Austin, and they greet you. I mean, you're going to Barcelona, and the people of Madrid pop out of Barcelona to greet you. Are you insane? No, brother. I'll tell you what happened, people. Listen to me. Listen to me. They had a device. And this device will have openings in the air. A portal opens up with the electricity around it. Like, and then they would jump in the portal and they show up on the other side. You know, they go, they're people of Baghdad. I mean, they had all kind of technology, man. They just press the button and the portal opens and they jump in it. And then they show up over there, like bang, and then there, you know. I mean, that's how they went to the moon too, they say. You know, the portal opened up and they They went around the belt and then they're there. The Allen belt, because if you go through it, you get fried. So they had to open up a portal and go bing and go around. I'm still surprised how they ended up on a moon with shadows. I mean, you can't have a shadow on the moon. But, they were the same people, of course. Liars are all liars. At the end of the day, they lie, and then you catch them in the lie, and then they're like, wait a minute. So the people of Baghdad popped out of Nahrawan to greet this guy. Shias are writing, what you want? When they saw him, they dismounted. I mean, they were inside these little portals, they had to dismount from the portal. Come on, I mean, it's totally understandable here. He stopped at his house. Whose house? Al-Hassan bin Saleh ordered, record. Now they're recording. The armies are recording. Remember when I told you that we'll come back to why this guy is writing these stories that go nowhere, why he's writing all these different people, why he's naming all these people for you? Because if a Muslim reader reads this and he starts to think to himself, wait a minute, Iraq didn't exist. Wait a minute, these people were in Baghdad. How did they come out in Nahrawan? I thought he didn't get Kufa. I thought he was fighting to get the city of Kufa. How did he get all these other cities? I thought he put a governor. No, he didn't put a governor. I thought he killed the guy. How could the dead guy's arm come out? If they start to question these things and they go to their imam in their city, their Hujjatul Islam, they go to the mosque and they ask the guy, hey, can you please explain to me this? And that imam, that Hujjatul Islam looks at it and he knows that, they caught him by the wrist. They caught him in the lies. He will make up a hadith, a tradition from Ja'far al-Sadiq, the stripper. Remember the stripper? Where Ja'far al-Sadiq has said, you talk to the people at their own level. And he will turn to that guy who asked the question and he will tell him, you see, your level is not at the level of us. So if I try to explain it to you, you won't get it. So you need to raise your level. And so the guy will say, how am I going to raise my level? He'll tell him, when you pray, when you do your 17 rakats of going back and forth, up and down like a yo-yo, for your daily obligatory 5 daily prayers, that's not enough. You also have to do the recommended prayers, which means when you add up the amount of times you go up and down, 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 prostrating, standing up, you'll reach 54. And then he will tell him, on top of that, you have to do all your fasting and all the recommended fasting days during the year too. So the guy will do that. And then he'll come back to him and he'll tell him, no, you got to do it for a longer period. So the guy will do that for like 10 years. And he'll come back and he'll say, whoa, now, no, you still haven't reached the level. Now, after you do all those prayers, now you got to also read certain prayers because we have 2 types of prayer. I mean, in English, you only call it one. You call it both prayer. But you see, you have worship, which is salat, and in Persian, namaz. And then you have dua, which is prayer, like when you want to ask. Like, the Christians will say, Holy Father, Abba Father, please give me this and this and this and heal this guy and that guy and that guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and watch over us and blah, 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 blah. In Jesus' name, Ameen. That becomes a dua. So, now he tells him, now you have to do these duas after those worship prayers that you did. And the guy goes back another 10 years, comes back and says, have I reached your level now? And then Mulana will tell him, no, it doesn't work that way. When you were doing your prayers, how many minutes were you spending on each prayer? And the guy will say, well, I mean, there's 54 records that I have to go up and down like a monkey. And I got to do all these reading of these other things you told me to read after each prayer. And I got to do all these things. and I got to do it on time, and I got to do that, and I got to fast, and I got to do this. I don't run out of energy, so I spend maybe like 5 minutes doing each one. And you tell them, no, that doesn't work. Allah doesn't accept that. Now you got to spend 15 to 20 minutes on each one. And by the time the guy does all of that and finishes all of that, and he comes back, he tells him, you also have to fight in the way of Allah. So now the guy has to go and either die, or he has to go and become a murderer and come back. By the time he's killed these people and he's returned, he's like, the heck with that answer. I forgot about the question. That's why they write all these names. That's why they give you such a confusing story. This guy writes a letter to that guy writes a letter to this guy becomes the governor of a country that doesn't exist. That one becomes the governor of a city that doesn't exist. This one became a governor of a province that they're trying to turn into a new country. Maybe 50 years from now, if the globalists have it their way. I mean, they haven't even done it yet. Back to the story. Now that you understand what is going on. So the Muslim public treasury were open. I mean, they had a public treasury. So Herthima gathered his troops to the extent of 30,000 horsemen and infantry soldiers. When the number and the equipment went well with him, where did they go? He advanced towards Kufa. He passed through Al-Maydi. I mean, this other city is like near Israel right now. They're fighting towards the east. How do they get to the west and go back to the east? I guess they were going like an S shape and back and forth. And then they circled it around a few times. I'm telling you, they did the hokey pokey dance too. I'm telling you, believe it, trust me. I was there, I was watching. Because I'm like 30,000 years old. I was watching all these guys. Now, if you don't believe me and you believe this guy, we got a problem. Which was under the control of Abu al-Saraya. He controlled it and defeated the governor. He defeated the governor. And the corrupt, then he creeped towards Kufa. I mean, they were fighting at Kufa. Anyway, back to the story. The two armies met at a place, at the palace of Ibn Hubayra. A battle took place there between the two of them. I mean, they were fighting already. And now they're starting to fight again. What kind of battle is this? I think they had a boxing ring too. They had a timekeeper. And they had rounds. And they were told, okay, no, 2 minutes is up. Time out. Go back to your corners. Come on. And then 30 seconds is finished. Come back, let's fight. I think he was watching boxing when he was writing this portion. Many followers of Abu Surayya killed. Herthimia insisted to fight him against Abu Surayya, and blah, 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 blah. The troops were running around, scattered all over the place, and were unable to defend Kufa, so he lost Kufa. Was the capital and center of the revolt. I mean, the revolt started in Kufa. In episode 12, it didn't start in Kufa. They were going to Kufa. Now it started in Kufa. So I thought this thing had spread all over the land. Anyway, so was forced to leave. And he headed to al-Qadisiyah. Qadisiyah is another Iranian city. Erthima occupied Kufa. Abu al-Saraya left Qadisiyah and headed to Sus. Sus is another Iranian city. The people of Sus closed the gates. Back then, there used to be gates to cities. There was walls around the city. You entered through the gate as a defense mechanism. In the old days, they had walls. Abu al-Surayya left Qadisiyah, he went to Sus, and Sus, they closed the gates, and then once they did that, this guy followed them there, and the governor of Sus told Abu Surayya, Leave, but he refuses. He became a little baby and said, I'm not leaving, I'm not leaving. He fell on the floor and kicked the ground and punched the ground like this and said, ah. Eventually, the people that were after him broke into the city and he ran away. Folks, he escaped. He pressed his little button, the portal opened, he went in the portal, and they couldn't catch him. They couldn't catch him. I mean, he used the portal. They didn't have a portal. He had a portal. Come on, man. I mean, it makes total sense. And he escaped. He went to Khorasan. I mean, he went from the province of Pars in southern Iran, right above the province of Ahvaz. He just bypassed a whole bunch of provinces and went to the northwest area of Iran called Khorasan. Okay? Yeah, I'm telling you, he had a portal. He just jumped in and came out the other side. He went to Khorasan and stopped at a village called Barqana. Okay? The governor of this village, I mean, villages have governors. Are you sure? I mean, villages, they have like the whole tribe is one group of people. Everybody knows everybody because everybody is related to everybody. And there's like an old grandfather there who's like in charge of the village. They had a governor. Are you sure? But the governor responded to them. He told him, we will protect you. We will provide you with security. You don't believe me? He gave him security, provided him that he should send them to al-Hassan bin blah, blah, blah. In response, immediately he sent them to him. Al-Hassan bin Saleh was then in Al-Madain. I mean, he was all the way close to Israel. Okay? When the prisoners of war reached him, I mean, he became a prisoner. A second ago, he had everything, you know. Look. He had a meeting. The governor of Barqana went out for him. He held a meeting with him. He gave them security. The governor gave him security. Then the same governor who gave him security made him a prisoner of war and sent them from eastern Iran to Israel. Okay. When the prisoners of war reached him, he ordered Abu al-Saraya to be killed. What happened to his portal? That is the first question. I want to know, where's that portal? I mean, that's a great machine, man. If I had that machine, you know the things I could do? I mean, I could take Joe Biden, jump with me, take him down and put him in the 6th century with Muhammad and let him become like one of Muhammad's soldiers. And then he could have gone to war against the Jews since he hates the Jews and wants to give the Jew land to fake Palestinians who don't exist because the Arabs killed the original Palestinians, who were also Greek, by the way, coming from the island of Crete. I mean, I could send Joe Biden over there so he can establish a Palestinian government like he wants to do. I mean, I could grab Kamala Harris and take Kamala Harris there too, because we all know Kamala Harris. I mean, they need someone who's going to laugh. You know, those guys, they don't know how to laugh. Kamala Harris can teach them to laugh. She can do that that she does over everything. I mean, I could have done that. I mean, there's so many, it's endless what I can do with that device. I just need that device, man. This guy had the device. Can anyone find this device? It has to be somewhere over there. If you do find it, please send the shipping and handling to me, and then I'll find a way to pay you in PayPal, okay? But I do want that device. I mean, there's lots I can do with that device. This guy had it. If you can find this crystal ball, I want that too, okay? If you find either one, give that to me. I mean, if I knew what was going to happen tomorrow with that crystal ball, I'll rub it. I'll even oil it up. You know, I'll do all kind of stuff to it. And then when I find out how much the lotto is to win, I'll win the lotto. You know how much I can do with the lotto? For example, with the money from that lotto, I can rebuild the Republic Party so that the Republicans can properly elect Donald J. Trump so he can save the world. I just need that crystal ball, man. I just need that crystal ball. If you guys find it, please send it to me, shipping and receiving. Okay, thank you. Now, we will stop the program here because we stopped it here for the Iranian people in the Persian language, and we want to keep the program same. So if you liked our program, if this program gave you anything that you learned from Shias and how not to fall for their lies, click on the subscribe button of our program under the link tree that I have provided for you. Click on that too. Join us in Telegram. Join us in Twitter X. Join us in Rumble and everywhere else that we are, because one day, eventually, this channel will get closed down by YouTube because they just can't take it anymore. I mean, they're already taking away the button for sharing. So who knows what else they'll take away from this. But once they can't take it anymore, they get enough money from the Islamic countries to shut it down. They will go and shut it down. We'll create another channel, of course. But in the meantime, if you're in other places, we can give you the feed and give you the name of the new channel. So you can always come back and find me. And then you don't have to worry about, we lost Dr. Mossavat. Where is his channel? Where is he speaking? We don't know where he is. Don't let that happen to you. Click and become part of our members. Make sure you spread and share this with people you know, your co-workers, your family members, your neighbors, your late aunts, dogs, cats, pet, and whoever else that you think can use the social media apps. Let them also know that they should also subscribe. That's right. We allow pets to subscribe to our channel too. We're not discriminating against pets. And then also make sure you leave a good comment after the program, maybe a bad comment, and also like the program. Make the bots for the YouTube work for us. And until tomorrow's special program that we will be having in English, I leave you in the hands of Jesus. God bless all.